Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so I was watching a YouTube video. I just randomly came across this guy. I've known for a while. His name's Matthew Hussey. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He's kind of a relationship coach for women, so he generally tends to work with women. And there was a lady there, probably about 30 years old, 32, and she says, "Yeah, I'm always their bros or their bro friend. I can't get a boyfriend." And what happened now? He kind of set something up to help her see something that she couldn't see in herself, right? So he goes, "Oh, what's your name again?" And she goes, "You forgot my name already?" She goes, "But when you handed me the microphone, you literally said the reason why you're handing me the microphone is because you're special." And so I forget what she said after that, but the point was Matthew just kind of smiles, kind of crosses his arm, looks at her, and he goes, "You are literally millimeters away from everything that you want. It's not that far. It's not that big of a step." And she's kind of looking at him like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "What if you would have said, 'You forgot my name? Well, my name is so-and-so, but you're going to have to make it up to me.'" And the whole crowd clapped and cheered. And he goes, "The difference between you attacking me and you being," I don't know if he said the word sexy or inviting me, "is millimeters." He goes, "It's just 2 or 3 different words, say it in a slightly different way, and you're going to have everything that you want." And here's the thing, as they were going through the discussion before he asked her what her name was again, you could tell she was kind of combative, and she was kind of angry, and kind of what was the word he said? It was essentially he felt like he was being attacked. And throughout the whole conversation before that, that's exactly the feeling you get, like, whoa. And so she just got really quiet, and she's like, "Wow, I never thought of that." Like, it was such a slight shift. Now, why am I bringing this up? Yes, I'm a dating and relationship coach. That's really what I specialize in. This narcissist thing kind of came out of left field, but it applies. So, okay, I'm kind of let you guys in on a secret. Something I've been doing this whole time. Not the whole time, but I started doing it about 2 months ago, and my whole channel turned around. Okay, I mean, my channel, okay, by the way, I'm going to say something. My channel is freaking exploding, like, holy shit. Guys, I want to thank all you subscribers from beginning, middle, and the new ones. My channel's blown up. In 2 months, I've gotten, okay, hold on, let me bring something up. Alright, so let me bring this up real quick, okay, and then I'll get back to it, because this actually applies to it. It's the same thing. It was a slight shift, and there's something I'm repeating on purpose. So here are the numbers about 3 days before July, okay? So today we are at August 4th, so we're just over about 37 days. So it was 1593, and my goal for the end of the year was hopefully to hit, I think it was like 1800. Well, all of a sudden, my channel just explodes, and I mean frickin' explodes. Now look at that number. Yeah, it's over 2,000 now, which is shocked me. But the lower numbers, in 28 days, I got 423 subscribers. I've never, like, usually it'll take me 3 or 4 years to get 400 subscribers. Actually more. And that was all the way up until about 2 months ago when I made this shift. Now look at this number. So this video alone, in just under 24 hours, got 2.5 thousand views. Most of my channels will take 5 to 6 years to get 1,000 views or 1,500 views. So what did I do to you guys or to my channel? Like, what was the difference? Like, why is it all of a sudden exploding? I had a realization that nobody out there was telling you that you have the power that you always have. All I kept hearing was, "Back away slow, be a coward, be weak, don't let the narcissist know you unmasked them." Hell no. So all I did was I shifted your perspective, Or at least I showed you a different perspective that you never thought of. Most people that have been commenting the last 2 months is like, I'm so glad I found your channel because I'm really sick and tired of being the coward or the victim and getting bullied. It's like, it's time we turn the tables, and I've never heard anyone say what you're saying on your channel, blah, blah, blah. So when I went through a 6-month awakening, it was like the big awakening when I was 28 years old. One of the biggest teachings or realizations that I had was that we're all being lied to. Like everything was a lie. I mean, everything. And as I've gone through life, you just see this more and more and more, and you realize like, wow, our governments are lying to us, our scientists, like everybody, like it's just on every level. So I realized I had to get you guys to see the truth, such as angels. So if you guys haven't been noticing, I've been using a lot of angels. Now, I've kind of wondered, I just realized, like, man, maybe some people don't think those are angels. Yeah, those are angels from heaven. Those are good angels. Those, let me pull one up. So this is one of my favorite angels. I mean, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he is a powerful force to reckon with. It's like he has a sword for the third dimension, and then he also has the sword of fire for the spiritual dimension. So all I want to say about this guy, or about this whole learning, is that, do you really think God's going to make angels that are weak, that can get pushed over? No, he's going to make some of the baddest freaking angels on the planet that are tough, that are hardened. And essentially that's what you're going through right now. You are going through this unbelievably tough, ridiculously insane thing, but it toughens you up. And a lot of you that have been going through this for a good year, 2 or 3 years, you're starting to realize, like, I'm not a pushover like I used to be. Like, you might still have further to go. In fact, we all do. But you're realizing, like, wow, I've actually strengthened up. And I'm a lot more determined now, and I fight for myself, etc. And it's a good feeling. So I remember during our NLP hypnosis timeline therapy trainings, they would every now and then just bring up, like, look, you don't need someone to change right now, like massively, like 180 degrees. You just need to get them to shift from their trajectory 1% or 0.5%, because as you go a day, 2 days, 5 days, a week, a month, 6 months, a year, that it's like they began to shift and go off at a higher angle or a different angle. And as they go further out, that angle becomes wider and wider and wider. And all of a sudden, their life has taken off. So over the years working with people, I didn't quite realize what it was I was doing until about, I think, 10 years ago, I became very conscious that when I help people to heal, it's a shift in perspective. A radical, like, you guys have all seen the thing where, like, there's a 6 on the ground, but from this perspective it's a 6, but from the other side of the 6 it looks like a 9. All I've been doing with you guys is this. I've been getting you to come to the other side, to see it from a powerful view, to see it from a powerful aggressive view, from attacking, from being the one who's aggressive versus the one that's receiving. One of the things about me, which is basically what I just described and why I did that, is because when I was a kid, I was not a big kid. In fact, I'm not a big person, to be honest with you. I'm just under 5'9", but I've always been an extremely powerful person because of one thing. It's like whenever I was absolutely terrified of something, I ran into it full force with everything that I had, and that would just catch people off guard. So if somebody was much bigger than me and they started picking on me, I would go at them full force. And people are like, this guy's fucking nuts, this guy's insane. But let me tell you something, people will really back off when you do that. And so I realized that's something that you guys had to understand. Like, you guys had to understand, like, even though they're called predators, predators are actually afraid of anything that fights back. They don't like that. They cannot deal with anything that's defending itself, like really, really fighting to the fullest. The energy alone scares the crap out of real-life predators. And yes, I'm talking about mountain lions, tigers, lions. When the thing they're trying to attack for dinner, so here's a good perspective. When dinner starts to fight back, that's when you're like, whoa, whoa, what the hell's going on here? I'm, like, imagine going to McDonald's or Domino's Pizza or wherever to buy some food, and you go to open it up and and you're trying to eat it, and it starts fighting, and you're like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? That's exactly what happens to a predator's brain. It confuses and scares them. The other perspective that you had to really understand is it literally is The Wizard of Oz. And yes, the movie The Wizard of Oz is about narcissist abuse and flying monkeys. I mean, everything in there, even the witches, it's all about narcissist abuse. It's a lesson, guys, that you're supposed to stand up for yourself and fight back. You're supposed to see behind the mask, see behind the words, behind the bullshit, and just watch them. It's like someone posted recently, it's never about the words, it's always about their actions. Here's a good phrase for you to write down. What a narcissist says and what a narcissist does are two completely different things. When someone talks to you, that doesn't mean shit. It's what they do. If they say they're going to be there, then they'll be there. If they say, oh, I'm sorry, oh, this thing, no, it doesn't matter. What they say does not matter at all. Every excuse in the book, it doesn't matter. Even if it's a real one. What they do versus what they say are two completely different things. Pay attention to what people do. That's how you figure things out a lot faster. So here's one of the future perspective shifts I'm going to pull on you. Okay. Is one thing we learn, it's in sports, it's in racing, it's in NLP, it's in personal development, is you get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. Now write that down. You get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. Because on an unconscious level, your unconscious mind it's like an obedient servant. Just, okay, so you want that? Okay, I'll do that. So let's say you say, well, I don't want to be poor. One thing about the unconscious mind is it cannot process a negative. What does that mean? It doesn't hear the word no, not, can't, won't, shan't. It just hears poor. Oh, he wants to be poor. Okay, if you want to be poor, that's what I'm going to do. And it makes you poor. Okay? So your unconscious mind is the power that controls everything, that creates everything. All you have to do is give it the image of what you want. So in race car driving, they say, look, don't sit there and say, well, I don't want to hit the wall, because unconsciously you're creating an image of hitting the wall. See, in order to understand that, okay, if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, what do you have to image or picture, even if it's for a split second? Well, a pink elephant. So if you're racing and you say, oh, I don't want to hit the wall, I don't want to hit the wall, unconsciously you're staring at the wall, you're making a picture of it, so your hands will turn towards the wall unconsciously. So the way they fix that is, when they first train you, they've got in the passenger seat, they have an instructor that has a box. And on this electrical box, there's 4 buttons. One is for the front left wheel, the other's for the front right, the rear left, and the rear right wheels, right? So when you're going 100 miles an hour towards this curve, he pushes one of those buttons, which slams this plate into the ground on one of those wheels, and you go into a slide, and you start sliding towards the wall. What does everybody do? They look towards the wall, because they're thinking, oh shit, I don't want to hit the wall, oh shit, right? So what the instructor does, there's a handle on the back of your helmet, and he reaches over, grabs that handle, and he jerks it the other way, so your head turns the other way, and unconsciously your hands turn the front wheels in the direction that you're looking. And then what he does, he lets go of that button, and boom, it grabs, and it turns in the direction, and boom, you go to safety. So they do this a few times, few corners, and eventually your unconscious mind suddenly starts to look in the direction that you want to go. Because the reason why they do this is it conditions you. When they jerk your helmet and it forces your head to look in the way that you want to go, they let go of the button, and then the tires grip and they go in the direction that you're looking. So your unconscious nervous system begins to lock that in and goes, oh, I need to do this, and it becomes an automatic part of your pattern. It gets conditioned into your system. So one of the main goals is to get really good at focusing on what you want, focusing in that direction, because you get what you focus on, period, end of sentence. So now, here's the shift. So here you guys have been focusing on, on the very thing that you don't want, narcissist abuse, right? So yes, there is a learning curve, there's a healing curve, and there's just a flat out learning and understanding like, what the hell was that, right? Well, it's a huge learning. Learning to, here's a real simple one, and it is part of this, is go away from bad, go towards good. That is one of the hugest, most powerful, universal lessons and teachings in the universe. It's probably the teaching. Literally, that is probably what everything is all about. So even earlier, a few minutes ago, when I said you get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. That's the same thing of what I just said. Go away from bad, go towards good. If you do that one thing, your entire life will change. Now, because of my training, I went through some really, really high-tech training, high mind psychological development awareness trainings, okay? And one of the things they teach us is to model people. So there's an unconscious way to watch what people are doing unconsciously, and then to pick up and then to model it, and then to replicate it, okay? So part of that training is you get really, really good at watching people. Like you're seeing things that they're doing that they don't even know they're doing. Like, okay, so basically it's called neuro-linguistic programming. I'm literally watching people's programs, and you're like, what do you mean programs? We have these things called meta programs, okay? And there's a series of them. I'm not going to explain them out. One is going towards what you want. The other one is going away from what you don't want, okay? So the one where you go towards what you want is very healthy. The one where you go away from, it's like you're always battling something negative, like you're trying to get away from it. You're trying to run away from your problems, right? Versus going towards what you want. So the people that are always running away from or going away from what they don't want, what happens is when they get far enough away, they lose their motivation because it's gone. It's like on the other side of the earth, so to speak, or over the horizon. And so what happens is they stop trying so hard and they go back. Let's say it's poverty, right? I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be. So they work, and they become a millionaire, and then they go all the way back because they lose their motivation. It's like you have to go back to find your motivation, and your motivation was poverty. So now you got to go back to being poverty. You lose all your money, however it happens, whatever. You gamble it away, drugs, you get sued, you do something stupid, you overspend, you overinvest, and you go back to poverty. But man, do you get motivated to not be in poverty again. And so these are the people that go up to be millionaires, and then they go down to the poverty. They go up to be millionaires, and then they go back down. Now here's the deal. People that go towards what they want, they keep continually achieving more and more of their goals. It's not like they achieve their goal and then they lose their motivation. No, they're excited because now they got another goal and they move forward. These are people that go towards what they want. It's a very healthy way to go through life. So one of the things that narcissists do or negative people do is they're always focusing on the negative and what they don't want, and what's wrong with life, and what's wrong with you, and so here's the deal. They're like stuck in this loop that they can't. Now they could get out of, but their ego won't let them. So they're stuck in this negative loop of always focusing on the bad and focusing on the wrong and talking about negativity and all that stuff, right? And that's exactly what they get. You know, it's like you constantly see these YouTube videos where people, the title is something to the effect like narcissists always destroy themselves, narcissists always ruin everything. So here's the thing, part of destroying narcissists is doing nothing, just getting away from them. Trust me, they'll destroy themselves. They always do. Alright, so one thing about narcissists, they don't want the people around them to make more money than them. So they're spending all their time making sure they're keeping all these people down, whereas they could be taking all that time focusing on making money, getting ahead in life, achieving their goals, working towards their goals, but they don't do that. And here's the deal. By the time they're 50 years old, they're looking around like, well, what happened? Well, you spent all your time, energy, and focus on making sure other people didn't succeed, and because of that, neither did you. So a real life example is something that happened to me. My mom had moved us from Wisconsin back to Napa, California. And about a month later, it was Saturday morning, everyone's gone, and she called me at the kitchen and said, hey, I want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, okay, Mom. And I think I was in 8th grade or just went into 9th grade. And she goes, do you know why we moved back to Napa? I'm like, no. She goes, well, now, mind you, I had just won the Silver Gloves state boxing championship the year before in Wisconsin. And what happened was, she said, I called everyone in all the cities around in this area, and I wanted to make sure there was no boxing team here. And I said, well, why? She goes, because I didn't want you to box. And I thought, oh, because you didn't want me to get hurt? And she goes, no, yeah, it was 9th grade because of this. She goes, no, if I didn't want you to get hurt, I wouldn't let you play football. I was like, what? So it didn't make any sense until I got older. It's like, oh, she did it to make sure I didn't succeed. And yes, she literally said that to me. So, as I ended up doing very well in football and wrestling, and so it was actually kind of a good thing to get into other sports. So then I got into my 20s, and I became ranked number 1 in the nation in kickboxing, and I was undefeated for a certain time. And I remember confronting my mom. I don't remember how old I was. It was probably 28 or 26. And I said, Mom, don't you understand that, especially, okay, in baseball, I didn't tell you about this. So after Babe Ruth, the summer after 8th grade, my coach comes up to me. We had a team meeting. He goes, hey, Mike, I want to show you something. It's a newspaper article. I'm like, what's this? He goes, that's your name right there. I go, what is this? He goes, you got drafted by the California Angels. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just a kid. He goes, well, you didn't get drafted in the first round, but you got drafted, I think it was like the 9th round or the 5th round or something like that. And I'm like, well, I can't play in the pros. I'm a little kid. He goes, no. He goes, you're so good that they actually got your name. Therefore, in the future, they can either keep you or trade you for money down the road if you go to another team. I was like, oh, okay. So I literally got drafted after 8th grade into the pros, okay? So my point being is, I said this to my mom. I go, Mom, even if I was the worst player in baseball, I'd still make about $250,000 a year minimum. I go, I don't understand it. And because one of my goals was I wanted to take care of my mom for the rest of her life, so she didn't have to work anymore and she could have a really good life. And she just looked at me and she says, I go, you don't think that I could have succeeded in baseball and sports? She goes, no, I know you could have. I'm like, so why are you trying to stop me? And then I explained how much money I could have made and I could have took care of her. And she goes, oh shit. It's like the reality hit her, and then her ego came back and she goes, oh, I don't care. And she just stormed off. So here was a narcissist who was more concerned about making sure that I never succeeded in life. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, she physically damaged me, did things to me to physically hurt me, to make sure that I never competed in sports or succeeded. And yet she wanted to be successful and always wanted to live the good life. And yet here was her son who could have handed it to her, and she realized it was more important to make sure I didn't succeed than for her to succeed. That's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a typical narcissist. Their focus is on making sure that the people around them don't succeed, and therefore nobody succeeds. So here's the overall purpose of this video. You really do need to focus on what you want. You need to focus on your goals, focus on the outcome. You need to learn, like even that right there, that's such a slight shift. Most people would never think of it in a million years. People focus on wanting. No, you have to focus on having. Imagine having. The reason why the Bible says thou shalt not want is because wanting is not having. The full translation was never pulled over. In fact, I think it was hidden on purpose, because the whole that teaching is saying, look, don't want, have. In other words, if you imagine having, it comes to you. That's manifestation. If you literally imagine you're sitting in that new car, that special sports car, holding the steering wheel, sitting in the leather seats or whatever, having the air conditioning going, having the engine go vroom, vroom, and you're pushing on the accelerator and you can feel the engine, right? That's imagine having. So literally, like, what would it be like if you had that thing that you really wanted? Like, what would you see? What would you hear? What would you feel like? Well, I'd feel like, what would you be saying to yourself? I'd be saying, oh my God, I can't believe I got this car. I can't believe it actually happened. Blah, 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 blah. Like, what would it be like? Well, I'd have the keys in my hand. The car would literally be in my garage or in my parking spot. Everything in life really does come down to very, very simple concepts. Focus on what you want. Imagine having, which is basically essentially focusing on what you want. It's probably a bad way to say it, focus on what you want. Focus on what you have. That would be the technical way of saying it. In other words, oh, I have this. That's mine. In fact, I remember in the 90s, that's what a lot of guys said, yeah, that car's mine, bro. That car's mine. I'm like, what do you mean it's yours? It's not your car. No, bro, that's my car, bro. I was like, oh. So it's imagine having. So here's what I'm going to suggest. You guys need to start turning your lives towards the direction that you're meant to be in. So okay, I don't know if you guys saw the video. You're probably not on my Facebook page because I posted on there. But I made a video and I also posted on Facebook. This happened right before the coronavirus. This is even before we heard about China. Like, there's some weird virus going on in China. Like, people heard it, but they kind of ignored it because they kind of had a feeling it was a bad thing. So this was about a month or 2 months before that. And I literally made a video that said, hey, something is coming. It's coming fast. It's coming to the planet, and it's gonna literally spread throughout the whole world like a fire. It's gonna go fast. Sure enough, 2 or 3 months later, everyone's freaking wearing masks. They're talking about this new vaccine, lockdowns, all kinds of stuff, right? And the panic was set worldwide. And people are like, how did you know that? Well, that part doesn't matter right now. The other thing that came along with that was about a month later, every night, it was like, it kept saying, it's all a distraction. It's all a distraction. It's all a distraction. Over and over for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. I'm like, what's a distraction? And I finally realized, like, everything, all the bullshit around us, everything they were saying, everything they were doing. In fact, the whole virus itself was just a distraction. A distraction from what? From your life. All narcissists want to do is waste your life. The number one thing they do is, it's called time wasting. They're time wasters. Anytime you get around someone who says, oh, I can do that for you, and then they don't do it, and well, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. They're literally wasting your time because they want your life to pass by so you never live. That's what they're doing. You're here to live. You're here to be alive. You're here to live with passion. You're here to do things that make you curious and fascinated with life. Things that give you energy and passion. They turn you on, and they motivate you. It's like, I want to learn about this. I want to read a book. I want to learn. I want to go to movies. I want to take a class on this. I want to learn how to do this, etc. I want to build an engine. I want to build a car. I want to learn how to dance. I want to start a business. All the other bullshit is exactly that. It's a distraction. I realized last night that this whole series of videos that I've been making for the last 2+ years, especially now that I've really turned it towards, hey, fight back, stand up for yourself. Narcissists are cowards. They're more afraid of you than you are of them, blah, blah, blah. This is my life purpose, to motivate people, to inspire people. And I realized, well, why did it come out in this more than anywhere else? It's because I went through it myself. And it's like, why did I want to motivate people? Because I wanted people to know that you can succeed. You can achieve your success in any area of your life that you want to. And it's just a small perspective shift. Look at it from a different angle. And literally, this is what I do with my clients. It's like, people get stuck on one perspective and they don't realize, we'll take a quarter step to the right. Now looks just a millimeter to the left. Take another quarter step. Take a step up. Take a step down. Kneel down. Go all the way around 90 degrees, go 100 degrees, go 120, go 180 degrees, go 90. Look at it from, and then go up on top and look down from 180 degrees. Now go back to 90 degrees from the top looking down. Now go underneath from 0 degrees and look up at the problem. This is what I do with people's brains. I get them to shift their perspectives, because that's where the answers are. That's why you came to this channel. That's why you're looking on YouTube for the answers to, this whole nightmare that you were going through. When you start seeing, okay, here's one perspective. When you finally realize narcissists are full of shame and that's why they do all this stuff, what is narcissist? When I say destroying narcissist, what is that? Just point out their shame. That's all you got to do. You don't even have to be mean. Just point it out and do it in front of a bunch of other people. And they're like, oh my God, they will not come around. They don't want other people to see that they're a narcissist, that they're afraid, that they're full of shame. That is like their worst nightmare. So point it out. Let people know. So then you get these people on my channel that are all, I don't want to destroy the narcissist. I'm like, why not? It's the best thing for them. If you destroy the narcissist brain, they become a human again. They snap out of it. They go, what the hell was I doing? It's the best thing in the world for them. Well, I guess you're not a caring person. I guess you don't have compassion for them. I guess you just want to see them suffer for the rest of their life. See, I did it again. Perspective shift. So this is what I've been doing throughout this whole time, is constantly finding ways to shift your perspective on all these issues. And then you have these aha moments of, you know what? I thought that because I did this one thing. I got so pissed off and the narcissist totally tuck-tailed and ran. But then he came back and yelled at me again. It's because you didn't see through the bluff. You just got pissed off because you got sick and tired of it, but you didn't see through the bluff. You saw it, but you didn't really see it. So there I did it again. Okay? So the reason why I can do this stuff is there's a couple techniques. One of them is called reframing. It's something that you learn in NLP. I'm just one of those people that studied the crap out of something and practice, and I just until it got locked in. So it's a part of my natural conversation. Fortunately for you, it is. Everything in life is a perspective shift. So let's say you think you're stupid. That's just a perspective. There's energy healing, there's hypnosis, there's all kinds of stuff to maximize your brain power. Let's say you're shy, let's say you're insecure, let's say you have shame. All of this can be done through healing and perspective shifts. Okay, so here, I'm going to give you an example, okay? I'm going to apply it directly to the whole, narcissist stuff. So your brain's kind of like, well, how do we do that, or what do we do? So if you've learned a lot about narcissist abuse, like you've been watching videos on how to deal with them, what the signs to look out for, and then okay, got to get away from this person. So if you've learned a lot of that stuff, I think it's kind of time to move on, okay? So here's what I mean. So you might be going like, well, what do you mean? So instead of focusing on like a narcissist or narcissist abuse, you want to focus on what you want, okay? And so you're going, well, how do I do that? Because most of you or most people will be like, well, I don't want to bump into a narcissist again. I don't want to get into a relationship with a narcissist again. I don't want to get entangled with a narcissist, right? Well, you're focusing on what you don't want, and therefore you're going to get what you focus on, because whether you say you don't want it or do want it, you get it. I would rather have you say, I don't want to be filthy rich. I don't want millions and millions of dollars, because then you're going to get it. But if you say, I don't want to be poor, well, you're going to get that too. It doesn't matter whether you say don't or do. It just matters what you're talking about, okay? So let's take you. So you don't want to deal with narcissists. Now here it is. So here's a question. So what do you want? If you're not dealing with a narcissist, then what would you be dealing with? So a lot of people are still like, well, if I wasn't dealing with narcissists, then I wouldn't be dealing with the pain and suffering. I'm like, okay, I didn't say what wouldn't you be dealing with. So, okay, so let's say if you're not dealing with the pain and suffering, then what would you be dealing with? What would you be feeling? What would you be experiencing? Oh, well, I never thought of it like that. Well, I'd be around, and for some of you, it might even take more than this, but I'm going to kind of cut to the chase. And if you're not dealing with suffering and pain, well, you'd be dealing with happiness and joy. If you're not dealing with narcissists, well, who would you be dealing with? Well, I'd be dealing with happy people, people that have love in their heart, people that are good, people that are fun to be around. That is what's going to get you going into that direction. That's the way life works. So it's really important for you to start looking at it and looking for what your purpose is. So if you've been living in hell and burning fiery flames, for decades or centuries, you're going to start dreaming about ice cream. You're going to start dreaming about water. You're going to start dreaming about a better life. And thus, boom, you pop into it. So you literally get what you focus on. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. Because a lot of people are like, well, what I don't want is, I'm like, I didn't say that. Listen closely to the sentence. Focus on what you want. So what do you want? And they're like, oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Hey, this is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Remember, click subscribe, click that like button, go ahead and make a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.